What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. Today we're going to talk about things that I'm not supposed to talk about. Basically, the channel has been shadow banned. I can see it from the analytics on the channel. We've had a definite decrease in recommendations from YouTube's algorithm. So I don't know which video it was. They don't ever tell you that kind of stuff, but I do know this. They have hurt the channel badly, and I need your support. So please go watch our older videos and stuff like that. But today, I want you to watch this video. This is very important, probably the most important video I've ever made. We're going to talk about Biden's new anti-terrorist, anti-domestic terrorist bill. And it's essentially called the National Strategy for Countering Domestic Terrorism. And it's well worth the read. I'm actually scanning through this article here. It's from The Hill. It was on June 25th, 2021. Biden issues a curious domestic terrorism strategy. The FBI should proceed with caution. And I'm going to have to put my specs on so I can read this smaller print here, but I wanted to scan through a little bit of this so you guys get a taste for it. President Biden's National Security Council this month issued a national strategy for countering domestic terrorism. It's worth a read. Parts of the strategy are commendable, but there's a lot to be concerned about as well. It should be more accurately titled National Strategy for Countering a Certain Kind of Domestic Terrorism. Of course, every presidential administration sets policy that aligns with the political agenda, but this document is stunning in its narrow, singular focus on one strain of domestic terror and complete avoidance of other extremists whose political motivations may more closely align with the goals of the left. So, in this whole thing, in this whole BS document that Biden administration put out, it's saying all this stuff about basically, white nationalists, essentially people that were Trump supporters. It specifically mentions two things that are essentially to understand this. To understand left think, you have to understand and believe these two false premises. Number one false premise is that in 1995, Timothy McVeigh acted alone and carried out one of the largest domestic terror actions in U.S. history with the bombing of the Murrah building. Because I have family in Oklahoma and stuff, I knew people that were pretty close by there when the thing went off, so they were following it very closely. And I'm old enough that I was politically active even back in '95, at least to some degree, maybe not the same level I am now, but I was paying attention to what was going on, and that was a big deal because that was where some of my family lived. So I wanted to know what was going on, and it was an attack right in the middle of the United States, which was, crazy at the time. I remember just being totally shocked by the whole deal. But what I also remember was there was a lot of really fishy stuff that went on in the investigating days, or in the investigation of the Murrah bombing. And one of the major things that I remember was in the beginning, I remember, I can't remember the name of their governor at the time, but whoever their governor was at the time said there were multiple devices, multiple other bombs found inside of the building. And then like a couple of hours later, they were denying all of that stuff and pretending that it never happened, that it was never said. Several investigative journalists, because we still had them back then, they were actually trying to investigate what really happened and get to the bottom of it. And one lady in particular, I can't remember her name, but she was just flat disappeared. They moved her out, they kicked her out of the station, fired her, and moved her off to some, Siberia or something like that, because she was asking the wrong questions, I guess. And guess who was in charge of the FBI? I believe it was the FBI during the Oklahoma City bombing. If you guessed Merrick Garland, you're right. It was him. And Janet Reno was also involved with all that stuff. Of course, remember, she was the one that gave the orders to take down the Waco compound. So, all kinds of dirty stuff comes up when you start talking about Janet Reno and Merrick Garland. Especially as it relates to investigating, doing a thorough investigation of this stuff. There was all kinds of weird stuff that happened on the Oklahoma City deal. I remember one of the things that was the strangest was the ATF or something. One of the agencies had been told to stay home that day. Now, why would you tell your agents to stay home that day? There was nothing else planned. There was nothing. There was just lots of really weird, suspicious stuff. And even the testimony and such that Timothy McVeigh gave, and some of the other accounts after the fact, according to, now you got to take this with a grain of salt because it was like his prison roommate or whatever, his cellmate. But his cellmate said that, essentially that he was put up to it. And I totally suspect he was put up to the Oklahoma City bombing. He was baited by the alphabet agencies. Now you might ask, why would they do that? Why would the government agencies put somebody like, set the stage and put something like that together to get a guy like Tim McVeigh? Well, if you know a little bit about what was going on in the political structure back then, the Clintons were in charge, and they were very strongly against militias. They hated militias. They hated the Second Amendment. They were coming after strongly, and I think they had already gotten the assault weapons ban passed, but they were trying real hard to get rid of, firearms and such. They were trying to basically make anybody that was in a militia a potential domestic terrorist. And for years and years after that, I remember it carried on even throughout the George Bush years, that they had a list of people. If you were just coming back from service in Iraq, if you were a Christian, if you went around talking about the Constitution and, talking about the Tree of Liberty, and there were all these other things that were essentially keywords that if you were caught saying those things. And it was also, we had another system called Echelon. So if you were having phone communications on landlines with your buddy or something and you said certain phrases, then they would put you on a watch list. So I'm sure from the research that I've done, I've probably been on watch lists all of my adult life. And you know what? I'm a patriot. I've never committed any acts of violence. I've never encouraged anyone to commit any acts of violence, but they could probably, being the lawyers that they are, they could probably use some of my videos and who knows, even manipulate them to make me say whatever they want me to appear to say. So we're in very dangerous times, guys. To be a patriot now, according to all this BS that Biden just released, to be a patriot, to have supported Donald Trump in the past, that makes you enemy number one. And especially if you're white. Or if you're a member of any of these groups, and I've warned you guys before about don't associate with any of these groups, because it only takes one bad apple in a group, and usually that guy's going to be an FBI plant, like 1 out of 4 guys is an FBI agent. So the other false premise is that January 6th, or false flag, I guess I should say, the other false flag is that January 6th was the worst case of domestic violence, domestic terrorism, almost overthrew. Those people were trying to overthrow the Constitution, don't you know? That's what all these talking heads on the MSM are saying. So, honestly, they're claiming, and even on a PBS show, I read this a little earlier. I didn't know it because I don't watch PBS because they're controlled by the left. But I read this thing earlier that in their PBS show on January 6th, the first thing they said was that Trump incited that violence. And I can find zero evidence of that. All I can see is Trump saying, be peaceful, go peacefully and march over here and do this. He didn't tell anybody to go inside of any buildings or anything like that. Whether the Q people did or not, I don't know. I'm convinced the Q people are one of the alphabet agencies. So if those people, those, soft-headed people that followed Q the entire time and believed trust the plan and all that idiotic stuff every time, they were just trickling out little bits of information. If those people fell for it, well, I'm sure some of them did. But we've seen video after video of what appears to be Antifa people being the first ones into the building, yet no mention of it on mainstream media. No mention of it on the floor of the Congress or, in the Senate or any of those places where it matters. Guys, we are falling off the cliff, man. I don't know how else to say it, but this party, I've never seen any Republican act the way Biden is acting. I've never seen a Republican president come in and essentially deem the other side, the opposition to his views, as domestic terrorists. And that is what they have essentially done in this national domestic terrorist bullshit that they put forward. So I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to stop making videos. I'm sure at some point or another I will get a visit from the FBI. I don't like the prospect of that. I want to be left alone and do my thing. But, at the same time, I am certainly not going to cower down to these people trying to rule by fear. So anyways, let me clarify some more what I was talking about on January 6th. Clearly, if you ever were going to use the term mostly peaceful protesters, January 6th would have been the appropriate day to use that. But they didn't use that. They used it all summer long during the summer of love, as they're calling it, which was really the summer of rage in the United States of America, and it went unchecked. Police departments were threatened to be defunded, and in some cases they have been defunded. And I'm hearing all across the nation, police officers are retiring in droves, and they're not coming back. No new ones are coming in. So the Democrats and Joe Biden and whoever it is that's pulling his strings, it's not him, obviously. He doesn't have the capacity to do this stuff, but somebody's telling him what to say through the earpiece. Somebody's writing the stuff on the teleprompter for him to read badly. So whoever that is that's controlling things, they have an end goal. And clearly the end goal is a destruction of the Constitution and our sovereignty and everything else that, so many people have fought and died for. Your relatives, my relatives, all of our ancestors fought and died so that we could do this right here, so that I could have a channel on YouTube and speak my mind and speak truth to power. And out in public, when I go out in public, I should be able to say things and not have the threat of, if I say this thing, the FBI is going to come investigate me and think I'm a domestic terrorist because I believe in conservatism. At what point do you guys draw the line? I've asked that question several times, but I just don't get it. I can't believe these people are our countrymen. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's hard for me to even grasp this because, I'm not that old. I'm 45. I was raised in a time when they still taught us about the greatness of the founding fathers, and they still taught us about, being, if you want to call it nationalist, which nationalism has gotten a bad rap these days, but that's what it was that, we were proud to be Americans. Could you imagine if Lee Greenwood's famous song, Proud to Be an American, came out today? Do you think it would be at the top of the charts, or would it be labeled as hate speech or, racism or, veiled patriotism, veiled, whatever, what would it be? I don't think a song like that could make it today. But I remember when I was a kid, all of the kids in school knew all of the words to the song, and we actually liked the song. It wasn't that they were making us. It was one of the, at least for me, personally speaking, I actually enjoyed singing it. It gave me a real sense of pride in my country. Now everything is designed to make you hate your country. And America's bad. America's racist. Our founding is bad. Our founding is racist. Oh, but liberalism good. Communism good. Great Reset good. Forced vaccination good. But individual liberty, that's just selfish. That's bad. The only answer to these clowns is collectivism and destroying our sovereignty, our individual sovereignty. I'm worried, guys. I have never seen anything like this. And January 6th wasn't an insurrection. If it was an insurrection, I'm pretty sure the people that would have come to do the insurrection would have not only come armed, if nothing else, they'd have came with pitchforks or something like that. My God, they didn't bring any weapons. So clearly that was a protest. That was a stand against what appeared to be a fraudulent election. Whether or not it really was or not, we'll probably never know the real truth about that. We'll just have to speculate on it because no one will really investigate it. I don't look for anything to change after Maricopa County comes out, even if it is overwhelmingly proved that they won't change a thing. God bless America. God bless you. Even saying that right there is one of the things that gets my videos flagged. So please share these videos. If you share my concern about the nation, we got to stick together. As Ben Franklin famously said, if we don't hang together, we shall all most assuredly hang separately. Something like that. I stand for liberty. I hope you do too.